Well, top of the morning to you. It's Tasmania Reactions back online again. Good to see you. It's been over a year since I posted a video. I'm back. Took some time off to build a stronger foundation. Been busy just because of that. I also been doing some hands-on in person things, dealing with some individuals around my local area who I've reached out to, and we have little gatherings together and talk, and been using some of my new, like I said, kind of the same foundation, just research things more, so I can actually have a better explain things better, and be able to give quicker answers. I might end up having call-ins. I might end up, continue to do, songs, and then end up commenting on them about relationships or politics or history, or, how, just how I did before, to the point of whether I was talking to my son or my daughter. Maybe there's individuals out here that are, 16 to 28, something to that effect, looking for some guidance, somebody to listen to, someone to make fun of. But like I said, like, subscribe, throw some comments down. But first thing I want to get into, just want to get right into it. First thing I want to get into is this is kind of what I'm looking at. I'm looking at Doris M's channel. Not going to use much, but it's kind of stuff like this.
Bring back men who beg. Bring back men who beg.
What?
Things like this. What's going on with? I looked up. Women learn the hard way that men quit dating. Okay, things like, or say a guy saying something like this.
I don't care how independent she is. Give her some money and buy her stuff.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
Yes, sir, brother.
Yeah. So things like this I've been seeing and talking about, and earlier while I was doing some research, came across individual that said, or it was on a national morning thing, and it said women are dating down, and it looked like there was two females and two males. And even the female was like, "Ooh, I'm just reading what was on the prompter," because the one of the males looked pretty upset by it. He expressed it. It's kind of unprofessional. He was like, "Really? That's what we're doing? That we're going there with that? Females are dating down now because men are not dating as much." Or he kind of got into it, and I stood right behind. I totally see where he's coming from. So. First of all, I want to understand my theory before I state that. I want to be clear. I'm like Sophie Cunningham. I do believe biological males and biological females were two different. They were two different individuals. Shouldn't be playing sports together. Shouldn't be looked upon as the same. Men do certain things, and not saying one can't do the other, but I'm just saying overall there are extremes on both sides. I don't want to get into that. Don't want to get into the trans things or anything. I'm just saying. Men have a certain purpose and women have a certain purpose. We're both extremely important to each other. One can't live without the other, and all that other mumbo jumbo, but it will help you understand my theory. So let's get into my theory. So what I'm calling my theory is, at least with this new dating situation, you have the situation where, 1960s, 1950s, I don't have any major degrees or anything, but I have done some research to the point of, like, for instance, in this scenario, like in 1950s, 1960s, or even earlier than that, 1940s, people were getting married, say, around 19, 22, something to that effect. Now it's up to like 28, 31, 32, something to that effect. That's not really good. That's a big reason why the reproduction levels are coming down, which does not do good for America. And of course, I'm talking America right now. But it is kind of happening over everywhere. So so this is just a kind of thing that I want to talk to both sides. Try not to be derogative to any side, but I'm going to try to give advice to both, as I would, say, my daughter or my son, my daughters or my son, and talk to individuals around that age. Like I said, between 16, 17, to about 28, 30, some that effect. But anyways, hopefully this helps. If not, but a theory I've come up with, I don't know if there's a theory out there that's something like this. Maybe there is, it probably is, but like I said, again, no college degree in any sociology or anything that effect, in psychiatry or anything. But I came up with this hunter and gatherer versus receivers. Once again, I feel biological men have always been, in our history, the hunters and gatherers, and the female has always been great receivers. A great way to describe it: hunters and gatherers would go out, and obviously there's extremes here and there, and history and all that stuff. But I'm just saying overall, I'm giving you an idea. Men would go hunt and gather, get a deer, bring it home. The female would take care of it, do what you need to do. Men at that point would take care of the needs once whatever's left over to make some type of tools, this, that, and the other. Blah, blah, blah. Just work together. That's kind of how it is, and so I hope that analogy makes sense to the point of, men, and then men, because in that case, men have always been the ones who also would go out and court females and would go and, impress them, in an essence, hunt them, if you will. Maybe that's not the best way of putting it, but I'm just saying our demeanor was to go out, that would be our prey. We would use some bait, dress nicer, be nice. Let's get more modern, take them out to dinner, maybe put nice cologne on, do whatever. A woman's gorgeous as they are anyway. They're just a beautiful specimen anyways. Yada, yada, this, and the other. And women would accept, they would receive that type of, courtship. And, back in the day, it was okay for, men to pursue women that way. And, everybody wasn't out messing around and doing whatever as what it is nowadays. And then but as it's grown, it's gotten less and less, or more, more and more sexual and things like that. So that's what I want to get into. But so my theory is more of the hunter and gatherer versus the receiver. So I'm just going to go over some of the things. Like, so for instance, we're talking the male and would see as if we're talking like hunting, the prey's value has gone extremely down. You have someone like Candace Owens, she's called it hoflation, right? The value of the female has gone down due to the fact that women are giving it out. And I'm giving it out, you know what I'm talking about, giving the hoo-ha out. So hoflation has come into play, and the value of the female has gone down. So that makes it, I guess the best way to try, that makes it very tough for a man to desire that when the value's gone so low that they're like, I can go get it whenever I want. I don't have to settle for somebody. And that's what I feel is kind of happening, to the point of there's a guy out there called Kevin Samuels, and Kevin Samuels would say that men control relationships and females control sex, and I totally agreed with that. Now, with that said, if that's the case, women are controlling sex, and because of the hoflation, it's getting a lot easier for men just to go out and hit it and move on and have no issues moving on, and not having to, work hard for it, not having to, marry it, just do that. Now on the other side, which is which ends up being the big issue, is the relationship has actually gone up. If we're talking about value, the hoflation has gone down, and actually the relationship value has gone up. And what ends up happening is men are controlling that. So when it comes out and it says, and why it's so frustrating when I hear something like, oh, women are dating down, that's not, to me, that's not necessarily a thing. The thing is that there's men have a way of dealing with things, and what was that one? Oh gosh, what was it? Heartbreak Ridge. It was about Marines anyway. They adapt, they overcome, they take advantage of situations, and men, they got video games now. They've got you got what they call it, websites that they can go to. They got OF, things like that. Matter of fact, so I was looking at some situations, and I was seeing that that would have been nice if I had a pen. I was seeing that gentlemen clubs are shutting down. They're shutting down because guys aren't going out and spending money there. Why go spend money there when they could just go to OFs and whatever? And I'm not saying all guys do that, but I'm just saying that some guys who have issues chatting with women probably have no problem talking online with females, or watching, subscribing, instead of going out every night and spending tons of money on that, on those gentleman clubs. Secondly, I've heard nightlifes in major cities like California, like LA and New York, that's also dying. Girls' night is also dying, meaning girls go out and they get in for free, or they drink for free, and women are getting upset because they're like, well, there's no men out here because we've got to pay for our stuff. Well, actually, the situation is that these clubs need money, and men aren't coming out to them anymore. Even if the women were getting in free, they weren't coming out to them, and these clubs need money to stay up. And I know for a fact a couple of clubs that were running pretty hardcore down in my local city, they have closed down. So I mean, that's definitely going on. And it also gets to the point where you have a situation where, as I say, when I say males, I'm talking about biological males, and I talk about biological females. Whether it's sports, like with Sophie Cunningham's situation, I believe they need to be separated. There's also things we can look at with divorces. So is it just by chance that gay marriage divorces are at 26%? Only 26% of male gay marriage ends up in divorce? Is it just by chance that straight marriage relationships or marriages end in divorce at 50%? Is it just by chance that lesbian, gay, female marriages end at like 76%? And I'm not trying to say anything. It's just, well, I will say what I'm saying, but I'm not trying to, but it's just more to the point. Men, lowest 26. When you have 50 and 50, they're at 50. When you have female, they're at 76% divorce rate. Again, that helps my theory that at least, I mean, we all know anybody can be very sexually active and whatever. I'm not even trying to get into that. I'm saying that men, because of the hunting and gathering, are more problem solvers, and they look at situations. In some cases, like I said, there's spectrums. There's people that are awesome this way, awesome that way. But I'm just saying overall, as like I said, if I was talking to somebody, just being broad. But ultimately, with the problem solving that men do with the hunting and gathering, I think that's why they have the least. They're the least. You get two guys that both are hunters and gatherers, and they actually concentrate on, or a big part of them since they were taught as a kid was problem solving. That's what tends to happen with hunting. There's a problem, you got to solve it. Got to change bait. The wind shifts. You got to make sure you're elevated. You have the rest of the right, whatever. I'm not saying that women can't do that. Females can't do that. I'm just saying that when you have those two guys together and they happen to be together, 26% divorce rate. When you have half that's problem solver, half that's a receiver, and it's not working, or whatever, you're at 50%. Then you have two over here that really, I'm just saying, this is my theory, that are more receivers. They're not looking, they're not seeing certain things, and they're divorcing at an extremely high rate. I mean, it's literally almost balanced to the point where you have 25, 50, 75. 25, 50, 75. Pretty much that's what it is. So, I mean, that's kind of how that's kind of how I feel on that situation. You know, I also feel, and this always kind of gets me in trouble, I do feel like the body count is a huge thing. Now, I think anybody who has a huge body count, whether it's male or female, is disgusting. I mean, huge body count, I mean, why? Okay, however, I do believe, and I get crap about this all the time, but I'm just saying, being honest with you here, when a woman has a bigger body count, it's a bigger situation. And it doesn't even matter what the number is. It's just, when you look at how, and like I said, I always get crap on this, but it just, when you, a lot of times, I'm just telling you, men can really tell if a female has a major body count without even knowing. It's almost like, so like men are, once again, males are just built different. We could be, which still is not okay to have like 100 body count, whatever. We could have a high body count, all of a sudden find the right woman, and that's it. And I'm still, you know, I mean, it sucks. I know it's not fair, but I'm just telling the truth. That's just how it is. A woman, on the other hand, you can just tell what it is, because one of the strengths of a woman, I think, is the intimacy and the delicacy of that intimacy that is just naturally lost from the female side when they have high body counts. It's just lost, and you can't get it back. Sorry, take it for what it's worth. I just say that that's a big deal. So I tell, like, my son, body count matters, and you don't have to ask for it. You can tell if there's if he's with a female and she's extremely aggressive, or, you know, I'm around females and they're extremely. I'm just saying, guys can tell. Guys can tell. I'm sure there's one out there where she's able to keep it, but I'm just telling you, more percentage. If you got a higher body count, it's tough. You're able to see it, and then you're looking at that, and even if there's no babies involved, all of a sudden you're looking at that and you're like, that's going to be the mother. That's going to be the sensitive side of this relationship. I'm just saying, that's how men look at it. So it's tough. It's tough. And then with a lot of people giving it out, the females giving it out, the whole inflation going up, all of a sudden, why would a man want to go out? You got men who are, you know, looking for individuals in their 20s, when they're in their 20s. And a lot of women are out there with this feminist movement, trying to get a career, trying to do all this, trying to become, you know, a CEO or get their degree and all this stuff, which is great if that's what you want. But if you want to expect to have a relationship, I'm just saying, you know, let me explain it to you this way. All of a sudden, you're giving it out, doing all this stuff. Guys are out giving it out now because all they're doing is giving it out or getting shut down. Whether they're getting it or getting shut down, eventually they get to a point where it's like, dang, you know, woman's always looking for like they say, always looking for 6'1", blah blah blah. I'm a short guy. I don't care. I got a good woman. I don't seem to have a problem at all having any attention, whatever. So that never bothered me. But there is a thing out there about height and all that stuff. But eventually it gets to a point where when you start getting to that higher 20s, early 30s, then all of a sudden, like some of these that are out here, I mean, I don't know what this one's going to say.
There are billions of pretty women, less than 1% of the population.
All right, she kind of went off, but I don't know.
I'll be 38 this year. You know, I don't have any kids. I don't have a boyfriend. I don't talk to anybody. So I'm always alone.
I genuinely question if there is real love left, like, especially in our generation.
It sucks.
So you run into like situations like that, and it's just tough because then you have men that end up getting to be about 30, 30 years old, in their 30s, and all of a sudden, sometimes these women come around, like she just said, she was 38, no kids. This woman seems a little younger and all that stuff, but still a lot of them are like, I can't get anybody to date, you know. Well, at that point, men are still, for one, they've already adapted to living on their own, having a decent life, whether it's playing video games, whether it's playing fantasy football, betting like crazy. They've got their own hobbies. Men adapt. They hunt, they gather, they end up finding something else that works. And then if they're getting easy inflation action on the side, what do they need? I mean, that's the big thing. So all of a sudden, they got these women that are their age. These men start looking at women that are in their 28s, 25s, and there's still women out there that then aren't looking for 25-year-olds, but then all of a sudden they see this established 34-year-old, 35-year-old, because at that time, hopefully, this guy's established. If he's not, then he's just a loser anyway, so don't worry about it. But all of a sudden, find this established man. They're more likely at 28 to say, oh, shoot, maybe we'll start dating this guy. He's got a little more money, he's stable, he's got his own place, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, where's these 30-year-old women? These 30-year-old women are just sitting here. You know, shoot, you get above 40, it gets even worse, because now you got these guys who, in some cases, are getting divorces and whatever, and they're 50. You think they're looking at a 45-year-old, a 48-year-old? No, they're looking at a 38-year-old, 37-year-old, because now the 32-year-olds who now become 37 are like, whoa, I need somebody, and nobody their age, they're gonna go, who can I get? And there's still decent guys out there that are 50 years old, looking good, working out, whatever it is, and you know, so you have situations like that. So you know, because women, because of my philosophy that I've come up with the hunters and hunting and gatherers, since females don't have that hunting and gathering instinct, you start getting this thing, oh, there's no good man out there, there's no this, that, and the other. Then they start coming up with, and this is the big thing that got me, that had me stuck forever, and I just couldn't. I was coming up with that the females were ignorant, that they're just full of themselves. But once I came up with this hunter and gathering against receiving, it kind of made me realize, hold on a second, biologically, with the hunting and gathering theory, once again, it's just my theory, but women don't know how to hunt and gather per se. They don't adapt as quick as men do in this scenario. Once again, women are great in a lot of other things, but the thing is that they cannot fathom that they need to change their ways up. They need to understand, they need to become somewhat hunters and gatherers to the point where they actually need to start using some bait, if you will, because they haven't had to. They're just there was enough, right? I mean, they're women. That's what men want. Well, all of a sudden things are changing. Men are adapting. They're liking other things. So when I see things like that, oh, women are dating down. They're doing this, that, and the other. The problem is you're not as valuable as you think you are. So you're thinking you're dating down. You're dating right where you need to date, because usually men go for what they like. And if you think you're all that in a bag of chips, for one, makeup, the older you get, I'm sorry, we understand. And heavier the makeup, as far as I'm concerned, heavier the makeup does not help the situation, because then we don't even know who we wake up to. You know, there's that one thing where the girl goes, can I see your bank account? And he goes, oh, excuse me? Oh, yeah, that's because I don't want to make sure I'm not wasting my time. He said, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. He goes and gets out. He's like, oh, well, I'll let you see this if you'll step on the scale, and also here. And she's like, what's that? He's like, oh, that's baby wipes to wipe off that face to make sure I'm not wasting my time. I'll tell you what, men are in that scenario. That was one of the best scenarios I came up with. That man was already like, yeah, here you go. I got what I got, but what you got for me? That's the thing. Now that you got wholeflation and you got the relation, you got the sex part of it diminishing, going low, and you got the relationship high. If you're not getting somebody young, which has its own downfalls and it also has its pluses, if you're not getting somebody at a young age, then you're getting somebody that in his mind, his value is up here, and it might be up here. But here's the thing, you think you're up here. Well, maybe you are up here. However, he, as his relationship, since, as I believe with Kevin Samuel, look him up, he's great. Kevin Samuels said, I think it's a great analogy. Women control sex, men control relationships. And now it has gone like this. So yeah, women, you might be beautiful, but all of a sudden, if you're bringing in children that from other marriages, that's a whole nother scenario. But once again, your value, you start bringing in other kids, man, it's tough for a man to try to bring up another child, let alone two, and then you start getting multiple baby daddies in there. That's pretty tough. But what I'm saying, but let me say that, because like I've been saying that I'm trying to help both sides. I have a lot more to talk about this, but I don't want to go too long. But one thing that I see constantly too, and I've actually talked to a couple of individuals who, a couple of females, and they've actually appreciated some of the help that I've given them. They've actually heard me out, and they know where I'm coming from, and they know that I'm just being honest, at least for how I feel. They still not necessarily agree with me. However, they did agree with me because they wanted to get my point, or my input on how they should do their dating app, about who they are. And just like everything else, again, there was a situation, three situations. It was all about, I have a degree, I have this, I have that, or, I'm a professional, I'm this, that, and the other. I told them flat out, if you're looking for a loser, a simp, a beta, then he'll care about your career. He'll care. It's nice to know that you have a job, and you're, say if you're older, it's nice to know that maybe you don't live with your parents, that you have an established place. So you've been adulting now, and you're 35 per se, or whatever, or 42. It would be nice to know that you have some type of income where you can have a house. But to the point of having to say real men do not give a crap what you do. We're already taking care of our business, blah, blah, blah. If we're out looking for a woman, a real guy should be somewhat of an alpha, not a crazy, but like a true alpha, the point of ready to be a servant to a woman or a family. They're prepared. That man is prepared to take on that responsibility. If you want to work, he should. If that's something you guys work out, he should be able. Yeah, sure. Yeah, totally, man. We agree with it. Some guys might say, no, my wife ain't working. Or some would say, sorry, you're going to have to work, something to that effect. And that doesn't mean that dude's a simp, but I'm just saying, if she wants to continue the lifestyle of having multiple cars and blah, 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 and the other, sometimes they both have to work, but that'll be discussed. But ultimately, a man does not care your education. He doesn't care about your career, or doesn't care about your career, what you do. Matter of fact, it might even be a turnoff, because it'll be like, I'm just going to get a woman that all of a sudden, as soon as we're together, she's just going to be worried about her job then. Men don't care about that. Men want a woman to be there for them when they need them. So, I mean, if that's not what you want, then I guess you want to express what you want, but you're going to get the man that you ask for. If you truly want somebody to be your companion, and I know women hate that, but, for you to, have somebody lead you and all that stuff, maybe that's bad too. But if you don't want that, you're not going to get a decent guy. I'm sorry, you're not going to. I guess there's probably some simps out there that will definitely accommodate the situation you want. But however, I'm not saying, once again, we're not saying to the point of all of a sudden you got to be a slave to them or anything. No, a man isn't a slave to his family. A man is a servant to his family, which means that that he should accommodate your needs as well. And you'll be included in everything. You're going to be alpha, beta, but it's a strong bond. It's there. It's together. Like I said, in some my household, I consider myself the alpha, but the wife who's a beta, she freaking runs 95% of the household. I just say, yeah, okay, whatever, cool. Yeah, what do I got to do? Oh, great. Don't even know I got shit to fix when I wake up in the morning. But then all of a sudden I got, the ice machine's broken. Fix it. Geez, I just wanted to come down and grab a beer or something. Nope, I got to pull out the tools before. Yeah, I probably started drinking while I was fixing it. But I'm just saying, it doesn't mean that I boss and that the guy's bossing them around. But the thing is that, what do you want? You want a man. You want the individual that sleeps between you and the door when you, no matter what side of bed you normally sleep on, when you're in a hotel room, I'm sleeping between her and the door. Okay, when we're walking on the sidewalk, I'm walking between her and the street. 4 o'clock in the morning, somebody comes knocking. She's 95% sure it's her brother. I'm still answering the damn door. That's the type of man you want. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. But at least with the dating apps and things like that, I'm already hit 30 minutes, man. So I'm going to probably shut this down here. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this, but let me finish with this. So like with the dating apps that I was telling them, you have to adjust yourself to actually throw some bait out there. It isn't about I. No, it's put in there looking to experience new adventures with somebody new. You put your hobbies, what you like, hiking, you like this, you like that, like that. Here are some of my hobbies, blah, 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 blah. But when you start saying, I want to travel, I want to go to this place, I want to go here, I want to do this exactly. Make it broad, due to the point of, I like the outdoors in the winter, outdoors in the summer. Don't say, I want to go skiing, I want to do that. They'll say, I like these, I like that. Then say to the point, looking to share those types of environments with a new partner, with somebody to go along with me. You need to sell yourself. You need to throw the bait out there. If guys just hear all I hear is how valuable you are. If I don't know who you are and you're just a female right now, females are not, and especially if you're older, females are not valuable right now at all. The one thing, the sex part of it, has gone down. The relationships are up here. And I just think that this new dating scenario with the clubs closing, gentlemen clubs closing, clubs downtown closing, girls having to pay to get into these clubs all the time now and stuff like that. It's just kind of some things I've come up with. But, but still also with everything else, I've also come up, and I'll end it with this. I've also come up with this, with the tripod, I call it. Tripod. Doesn't matter what god you look up, but one of your tripods got to be something that's better than something that's, you can't be all. I mean, if you want, that's tough, but there's got to be something else out there. So I say God, self-respect, and purpose, and that goes for both males and females. Even if you're looking for something out there, if you don't have one of those legs in the situation that you're in. And a lot of times self-respect, getting respect from what's going on, it's not worth being in the situation that you're being in, so that would also throw on to the point of being, just find a guy and then, I'm just the beta and I do nothing. No, that's not, and don't take it to how I'm saying it. It's just, that's just kind of how it is. You have males and you have females. And ultimately, there's responsibilities on both sides. So, but, the thing is that ladies have to adapt. Your, is not as precious as it used to be. And all of a sudden, I was just listening, as a matter of fact, some of Kevin Samuels thing, and thinking that talking about one of his things is high value men, and these females thinking that they have a high value man. They got 2 kids, 2 baby daddies. You're like, oh, what are you talking about? And it doesn't mean you can't find a good man. It's just that you're not gonna a guy that's making over $800,000. I'm not saying that it won't happen, but most likely he's not going to be coming after a woman who's older. Say if he's 48, he's not going to be looking for a 42-year-old with 2 kids that are 10 years old and 12. And even if they're from the same daddy, they're not going to be looking for that, because he's probably going to want his own kids, and he's probably looking for a 32-year-old if he's making that much money. So, it's things like that where you're like, you got to be realistic. And no matter how good you think you look, somebody said, I think it was Ghetto Boys, it said, you think you're is all that. Couldn't get a dime for it at a pawn shop. But truth be told, with that value of it going down, you you're going to have to start bringing something to the table as well. That's where we're going. That's where it's been going. Guys are going to find what they need to find. And if they're able to find that wholeflation action a lot easier now, there's no reason for them to buy the cow. They'll just keep going from cow to cow, having fun, doing whatever. Women will be empowered, but then all of a sudden you're going to have women that are just sitting around, and I'm sure there are guys out there that are lonely and whatever, but men adapt, they overcome. I've seen more girl groups break up than I've seen guy groups break up. Man, guys will, I'm sure there's some strong girl groups out there, but there's a lot of guy groups out there, man. What they call them, passport bros now? You don't hear it the other way yet. No, they already got passport bros out there. Guys that are going overseas and meeting females that are willing to be a little more submissive and stuff like that. I'm not saying that's the right thing, and I'm not saying that women should be totally submissive like that, but there's ultimately some things that maybe not be submissive, but also understand you're not as valuable as you think you are. So when you're thinking about, wow, that guy, you know what? Maybe give that guy a shot. Maybe he does have a little something extra, Just saying. And guys on the other side too as well, it's ultimately, I don't know. I mean, I just think life here, whether you believe in religion or whether you believe in, energy or this, that, and the other, I believe one of the greatest things I was able to ever do here is to have children. And even though this world is interesting, I was just joking with somebody. Somebody said, well, I don't want any kids. This world's turning to shit. And I said, well, we all know the story of Cain and Abel, don't we? Yeah, I know the story of Cain and Abel. I was like, yeah, there was only 4 people here in the earth, and there was already a murder. So what do you mean the world is getting to shit? I mean, if that doesn't tell you, there was only 4 people, 2 people in here, and they were already sinning. There was 4 people on here, and somebody killed their brother. I mean, come on. The world's been in chaos from day one. Or I don't know, day one, but from the beginning. So you know what? Don't make that the reason that you don't have kids. There are beautiful people in this world, and there's beautiful things in this world. And just because you hear a lot of bad, there's still an immense amount of good out there. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, man. I'm gonna try to do a little more. Maybe, man, a couple of nights I'm just not able to. I might try to maybe do a little fun stuff in the car on the way home. That might be like, especially tomorrow and the next day. I think I only got time probably in the car to do a little something. Maybe just do a little current event, see what's going on. You got some crazy things going on. You got Iran going on since we chatted last. You got some murders or some drowning up Mississippi. Officer Tatum's looking after, doing some stuff and keeping up on that. We got some crazy shit going on in New York with some communists up there. Some guy that I like to talk about is how I think he's doing exactly what he's doing exactly what he wants to do up there. He wants to get everybody who has money out of there and run that place down to a shithole, to the fact that all of a sudden nobody's going to want to live in New York anymore. But anyway, that's a video for another time. Anyway, man, like, subscribe, throw me some comments, good or bad. At this point, I'm not taking anything down. So anything I get is great. Anything you get, negative, positive, I'll take it in. Hopefully, if I do help anybody out, man, just say a little. Don't have to say too much, man, but let me know. It'll motivate me to do more. If I'm full of shit, do the same thing. Maybe it'll get me to express myself a little better. But until then, stay in school.